Got a package in the mail last night. I wanted to film this video yesterday, but it came too late. This came in the mail last night. And if you do not know or have not heard about this, this has been hyped for the past maybe few weeks or so, maybe the past month. Normally, I do not buy the latest releases, but there were a couple notes in particular that really grabbed my attention. And somehow, not too long after its release, it was already put on Amazon. Normally, you don't buy fragrances off of Amazon. You buy maybe like Voyage is the most popular Amazon fragrance, or other more affordable fragrances. Afnan is known for being an affordable Middle Eastern brand, but just quickly to go over buying off of Amazon, there's a lot of fake sellers on Amazon, on eBay, and things like that. So you need to know who's a legit seller. There was a listing of 9PM Night Out that happened to be shipped and sold by Amazon. If it's shipped and sold by Amazon or another store that you actually have experience with, it's okay to buy from them. Normally with the really weirdly named sellers, like names that don't make any sense, those are fake more often than not. This is actually my first Afnan fragrance. I don't really have a lot of experience with the cheap Middle Eastern fragrance brands, but if you could see in this in particular, I'll read the notes later, but this is the reason why I wanted to get this. Nice little coffret. And the bottle itself, it is transparent, but it's iced, frosted, and has a really sick kind of cobblestone-ish like pattern all over, a little cracked. This bottle does feel and look pretty nice. I'll give it that. So the top notes are dragon fruit, bergamot, cognac, lavender, apple. The middle notes are cardamom, whatever the hell that is.
What the hell is even that?
Suede, toffee, cedar. Base notes are tonka bean, akigala wood, ambro fix, and patchouli. Damn, that was loud.
Nice.
To get an idea, this is what the bottle looks like on the cap. You get some more barely visible etching on the bottom. Again, 9PM Night Out. I'm not all that familiar with most of the 9PM fragrances. If I remember correctly, the original was supposed to be a great alternative to Ultramalt by Jean Paul Gaultier. I have a couple friends that own that fragrance and I've smelled it on them in the past. But in terms of like 9PM Elixir and all the other flankers.
Oh shit, here we go again.
This is going to be the first one I actually own and the second one that I'm actually gonna get myself familiar with. This cap is actually kind of hefty too. Damn. You could definitely knock somebody out with this if you knew where to place it.
You got knocked the fuck out, man!
That's the top of the atomizer, just says Afnan on it. I don't even know. Oh, I do have a badge code. I'll read you my badge code. On here it says A2536412. And then Eau de Parfum. Oh, no. Extrait de Parfum concentration. Okay. Extrait de Parfum. I'll link the listing that I bought it off of. Again, make sure you buy it off of the Amazon. Jesus Christ, I can't speak. I did just wake up. That's my fault. I'll leave a link to the listing where I bought this off of Amazon. I had Prime, so if you do have Prime, maybe it might be the way to go just to save you on that shipping fee. Joma Shop and Fragplex have it. I'll list them down as well. I've been excited about them and meaning to try this for a while. Let's test it in the air. Good atomizer. I'm trying to process what I'm smelling. In the air, at least. Definitely fruity. It's fruity, it's sweet. Something about it is kind of like smoothing it out. Can't tell if that's one of the fixatives in here. Let's try it on skin. 2 sprays on arm. I will say this is pretty loud though. Don't need too many sprays of this. Let it linger. I'm kind of confused. I can't really pick anything apart, at least in the air. Let me see if I can do that on skin. Ooh, okay. It's a lot brighter and fruitier on my skin, at least in the open. Very tropical. I don't know if I would associate that with the smell of dragon fruit. I've been around dragon fruit inconsistently, so I don't know the exact smell. If you don't know what dragon fruit is, it's a very tropical fruit. Little pink outer shell. It's hard outer shell, and the inside is kind of like the mushy, edible fruit part. I don't know if I would associate this with dragon fruit, but it does smell very unique, at least fruit-wise opening. There's definitely some sweetness in here alongside the fruitiness. Something a little fresh off the top too, just a little bit, kind of balancing out the sweetness. This is a sweeter leaning fragrance, a little fruitier leaning. Night out is a good name for it. I could definitely see this being worn night out, but in cooler weather or mild weather, you could wear this every day. I would say more casual than formal in the opening. Let's see how the dry down goes down, but I think any person could really wear this. Not really getting any similarities to fragrances that I'm used to. Although I do, something's starting to creep up. Okay, I'm starting to smell some like toffee or caramel type of sweetness, but it's not too much, which I'm thankful for. Certain fragrances I used to own that I don't own anymore, I got rid of because I grew out of that really super sweet type of fragrance profile. I'll give a couple examples. Jet Black Platinum from Michael Malul. I used to own that. That was too sweet for me as I started smelling more stuff. Not saying that it's very juvenile and very, beneath me, but that scent profile I fell out of love with. And then another example, and this doesn't smell like either one of those two, but Youp Homme de Parfum, very sweet toffee iris fragrance. I wish there was more iris in there, kind of like the Dior Homme Intense type of iris, but that toffee overwhelmed my nose and I fell out of love with that one too. This doesn't do it too much so far. We'll see how maceration does to it. Getting more aromatic. Interesting. Some aromatic notes in here that are kind of keeping a balance between sweet and fresh. I could wear this today. It is a little cooler. Not cold, it's cooler, like about high 50s, low 60s. I could definitely wear this during that type of weather. Yeah, there's some like toffee-ish type of sweetness coming up. I'm a little bummed because one of the notes in particular that I really wanted to be prominent here was cardamom. I thought a warm, spicy, inviting type of cardamom would have had the cognac and the dragon fruit. It would be like a good trifecta of boozy, fruity sweetness, and warm spicy with a little bit of sweetness from the warm spiciness. Not popping up. If it is in here, it's very mellow and tamed out by other notes. Or it could be aromatic. It could be the green aspect of this. Because there's something in here that's slightly green and aromatic that's kind of balancing everything out. First impressions, I do think this is a decent fragrance. Is it worth the hype? I mean, for $50, and then over time it's gonna probably go down about $35, maybe $30 if we get lucky. It's actually a pretty solid fragrance at that price. And even at $50, this is not a terrible buy. And you know what? For being an Afnan is a clone house if you didn't know, or inspired by a house. This does have designer sensibilities, but it doesn't really remind me of a specific designer fragrance, discontinued or out in the market. So I'll give them props for that. This does have its own thing going on, adjacent to all the other designer sensibilities that are popular right now. It is bubblegummy. I think that's also the other reason why I get some sweet. This is bubblegummy sweet a little bit. I think it's something like Invictus. Not the exact same as Invictus, but it does have that type of Invictus bubblegummy sweetness. Toned down a lot compared to the original. And even compared to something like Invictus Aqua, this has it toned down compared to those two. At least on my skin. Yeah, not bad. You know, I would probably wait for this to get lower in price because most of the 9PM fragrances are lower in price, but this one is actually pretty decent. Let me wear this for another hour or so and I'll let you know what develops. All right, so I've let this sit on my skin for the past hour or so. Not a whole lot has changed. It's kind of linear. The only real difference is that the fruity sweetness and the fruitiness off the top is gone. A little bit of suede has kind of finished it off, so it's not completely overbearingly sweet. Some woodiness a little bit in the dry down as well. Again, it's been on my skin for an hour. The bubblegumminess has toned down a lot, which I appreciate. If this had been a bubblegum bomb, I would not have liked it as much. The sweetness in here is somewhat balanced. The cognac in here is still kind of present, but again, I think the main star of the show in the dry down is that toffee note. A little bit of tonka bean too, and a little bit of that fuzzy, nutty sweetness as well in the base. If you do not like sweet fragrances, you're probably not gonna like this. A little bit of aromatic kind of balancing it out, but this is still at its core a sweet fragrance. I don't think it's a bad fragrance. Do I think it deserves the hype? I couldn't tell you. I think it's a decent fragrance for sure, especially for someone that doesn't have a lot of, you know, clubbing, night out, or cold weather fragrances. This is a great first fragrance to start out with. And even if you have a season collection, yeah, I definitely think this is a good addition to that collection. This is basically a designer fragrance. I don't really know of anything that smells exactly like this. I could see inspiration from something like a Jet Black Platinum, Stronger With You, and even to a lesser extent Invictus. And now that I think about it, the dry down for whatever reason is kind of reminding me of Invictus Parfum. Something in here, even though it is still sweet, something in here is just like smoothing everything out in a fresh, a little bit soapy, but again, it's still extremely sweet. So if you like the fresh and sweet balance, I could definitely recommend this to you. And in the next couple of months when it drops below $40-ish, this is an easy recommend. Even at $50, I would recommend it if you don't have a lot of things. If you have a big collection and you were thinking about adding this because it's the newest thing out there, I would wait for it to get cheaper. This is a pretty good release by Afnan. I'm probably not going to get the other 9PM fragrances, but the dragon fruit, the cognac, and the cardamom were the reasons why I wanted to try this fragrance out. Unfortunately, not the cardamom that I'm a fan of. Green cardamom is okay, but I love that warm, spicy, inviting type of cardamom feel. Think of something like La Nuit de l'Homme or Leighton by Parfums de Marly. Think of those type of cardamom bombs. That's the type of cardamom I really like. This leans a little bit more youthful in my opinion. Not saying that older people couldn't wear this, but think of like the new wave of sweetness that has hit the past couple of years or so. This kind of falls in line with that, does its own thing in the opening that blends it in to that type of genre of fragrances. Again, this is gonna be better for fall, winter, spring, when it's a little cooler, and then potentially summer nights if it's not too humid, in my opinion. If you overspray this, it will be sickeningly sweet. If you keep it in moderation, it actually does smell pretty balanced. For me personally, I'm not the biggest toffee fan. If the toffee is balanced out, I do appreciate it. This is balanced out, which I appreciate, but maybe not my favorite fragrance out there. I could definitely recommend it though, for sure. So hopefully you like the first impressions. Normally I put this on a short, but this is a very new fragrance and I wanted to gain some type of traction, kind of add my opinion to the discussion. Whether or not that matters to you, I don't know. But if you did watch to the end of the video, I appreciate you for taking your time to watch all of this. Comment down below if you're interested in this fragrance, or if you have it, what do you think about it? Subscribe to my channel for future content, and I will see you soon.